Hey, good morning from the office. Hey, good morning from the office. If you're expecting to see Brian, you're going to be disappointed, but you're really going to be enjoying BKP's substitute hosts, RFG, BAC, better known as Rhinestone and Burlap, Rick and Bruce, all-star panel. Take your pick. We'll answer to anything this morning. Brian is on the campaign trail this morning. He has been invited by the leading gubernatorial candidate in the state of Georgia, Casey Cagle. He has got an 8-stop bus tour this morning with Casey and his staff. Natalie is traveling with Brian this morning. Natalie is the FYN correspondent out of Fannin County, Blue Ridge, and she is traveling with Brian this morning on this trip. I was concerned, Bruce, because they've got 8 stops, and they were considering putting a drop car at each stop for fear that they might get thrown off the bus tour. So.
Whoa, drop card.
So anyway, we wish him well. He is going to try to call in, I think, later in the 9 o'clock hour. But in the meantime, we're going to kind of put a little show together here for you today. We're going to talk about some current events in the first hour. First couple of segments we'll touch on probably a little bit of North Korea.
North Korea, Iran. Then we'll roll it back to the States and talk about what's going on with our politicians.
Oh boy, yeah. Anyway,
you got to do your little card there, right?
Yeah, let me tell you where we are. You can call the show line at 706-889-9700 anytime you want. You can reach the show at chief@fetchernews.com. FYNTV.com is where you're watching. You can tweet or you can Twitter at Fetch Your News, at @ Fetch Your News. And our YouTube channel, FYNTV Fetcher News, the longest channel name in YouTube history.
So if people are voting for us, they can go through all those channels.
That's right, they can vote.
All right.
Yeah, operators are standing by. I don't want to crash the lines in here, but we spent too much time in makeup and HR this morning. Just a couple of announcements. We've got some, again, with all the politics going on. 11:30 this morning. Amanda, the show producer, and Jason Beck are going to be covering in Blue Ridge on the courthouse, the old courthouse steps. The Governor Deal, along with Speaker of the House David Ralston, will be meeting to sign the budget that was just passed by the state legislature.
That's a 2018 budget for Georgia.
That's correct. Yeah. They're also going to be joined for a special announcement by and I don't know if I've got her title correct, but she is the head of the University of North Georgia School, and her name is Benita Jacobs. She's going to be making a major announcement, announcing what we believe is to be a brick and mortar campus that was going to be built in Blue Ridge.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a step forward.
It is, and it's a real coup for Fannin County, and I know that we owe it a lot to the speaker to see that through. I think there's a $5 million set aside.
Where are they going to do this? Is there a location?
Yeah, I don't want to spoil the announcement. I think it's going to be. They've identified a piece of property along 515, but we'll let Amanda and Jason cover that and
hear Bonita's words.
So they can do breaking news.
All right,
breaking news. Also, let's see. Lonnie Adams, our own Lonnie Adams, is going to be covering the Gilmer Candidate Forum. That's at 6 o'clock tonight, and that's at the Piedmont Community Center. Tomorrow night in Blue Ridge at 5:30 at the Blue Ridge Community Theater, right over by the drive-in. There's going to be a candidate forum featuring the post 2 commission candidates as well as the school board candidates. So I don't know if I think BKP will probably be covering that. So that's we got a full slate, but Veteran News is covering it like molasses. So they're not running slow; they'll be running fast.
Hot molasses.
Hot molasses.
Oh boy.
Hot molasses.
Well, I'd just like to go off on a little tangent with the Rhinestone and Burlap folks. As you know, recently the French and the Germans were in Washington, D.C. with President Trump. And, you know, for any viewers we might have picked up as a result of that, you know, for the French and the Germans, I just wanted to welcome them for the French, Strasse et Toile de Jute. That's their show, folks.
You want to tell me what that means?
That means Rhinestone and Burlap.
Oh, jeez.
And for our German friends, Strass und Sackleinen.
Yeah, there we go.
And I have a couple other ones here, just because we're worldwide now. So, I mean, you know, for our Chinese friends, Shenzhen Hia Ku Mabu, Rhinestone and Burlap. And in case there's any Ruskies listening in, it's Gorny Krustau Adasha Brisient.
Well, there you go. We're getting a little bit of a international flair this morning with Rhinestone and Burlap. So we, we're having fun with it. So anyway.
So North Korea.
Yeah, North Korea.
It's coming together.
How about those two dancing across the line?
Hey, you know, it's like, you go first? No, I go first. Okay, I lead. Okay.
Yeah, and the cameraman is running around. It was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I think that was a big step forward. Obviously, more to come. I mean, to see if this thing's really got legs. But yeah, it was a big moment.
Boy, we hope it's got legs after Pompeo, floated in behind the lines and came in for his Easter weekend rendezvous.
Can't ever imagine John Kerry doing that for some reason.
He'd be, wouldn't he be? Let's see. I could see him coming in on the Korean Sea, right? On one of those surfboards. Those windsurfers. Talk about that a little bit with the North Koreans.
Well, you know, obviously Kim Jong-un, or Kim Ding Dong as I like to call him.
Yeah.
Has kind of come to his senses with all the pressure that's been brought to bear through sanctions and the Chinese. And I think understanding that, you know, Trump is not going to be pushed around like some of the previous presidents. So I think him coming to the table.
You mean the last three, maybe?
Or thereabouts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think him coming to the table is a recognition he wants to stay in power, and, you know, he's dead broke. He needs all the help he can get. So, you know, it's a model of a need that he really had to come to the table. And I think that's good for the South Koreans. The president of South Korea, Moon, is very much a peace-oriented politician. So I think this is, you know, kind of right in his wheelhouse that they are making these steps forward.
Where do you think I mean, I guess there's always a fear that the summit won't come off, but where do you lay that in terms of odds? You think it's pretty much even money that it's going to come out right now, or is it still it's not a long shot? Do you think?
I think Trump has a lot invested in this, as does Kim. So I think it's going to happen, and it's interesting to hear all the back and forth on location. And I think Trump is really pushing, you know, doing it at the DMZ like Moon did, because the visuals and the optics are really good.
And Moon does not travel well.
Yeah. And I heard one thing. They said, "Oh, maybe, you know, we could maybe do it at Camp David." So I don't know if there's maybe a twofer here.
Whoa!
One at the DMZ and then get Kim over to Camp David.
Boy, I didn't hear that. That'd be unbelievable.
Yeah.
You think that'd just throw the Nobel Peace Prize right in his lap with that?
He's going to get so much pushback on that.
I know.
And again, I mean, that's an interesting lead-in, because talking about Iran. So all the good he's doing in North Korea, if he walks away from the Iran deal, you know, he's a warmonger. You know, no more Peace Prize for you.
Yeah. Well, going back to North Korea just a little bit, do you envision the North and the South becoming one eventually? Do you think that that's even in the cards?
I think it's in the cards, but it's not in our lifetime.
Do you think it would be accepted by the people in the South? I mean, the people in the North, we've been told, are just raised to hate the U.S.
Yeah,
I mean,
But I think they're pragmatic about things too. I mean, and so if they are starting to mix in with their South Korean relatives, some of which there's still a split between families that after the war got separated, so there's relatives on both sides of the border, and if those relatives get together with the other relatives, I think they will see that this isn't something that like the South wants to conquer the North and subject them all to concentration camps. They're already there.
Yeah.
So, anything I think would be an improvement. But, yeah, I think the mindset will probably take a generation or two before, something would happen. I mean, it's been 60 years since the end of the war.
Right.
Just for them to step across the line.
Well, no, it's been 60 years since the ceasefire.
Well, you're correct.
I mean, I'm just... talking about being pragmatic, right? I mean, they haven't seen the end of the war yet. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's basically...
a ceasefire.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, that would be the first step. We say, let's sign this treaty, the war is over.
Yeah.
Drip blood over the candle, kumbaya, everything is good.
Now, but an interesting dynamic would be the Chinese, having a united Korea on their border. They might drag this process out some too.
Well, does it benefit them or hinder them?
They worry about that. I think having a united Korea that would
maybe go against some of there would be some pushback on China.
Yeah, because I think they've liked North Korea as a buffer against the South and all the American troops and everything that are there. So if anything goes up, with the Chinese islands in the South China Sea that they're making all these islands and bases.
They're building?
Yes. So, I mean, if there's ever something, with Vietnam, Philippines, and the rest of the world about those islands, having a buffer like North Korea is in China's interest.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to be right across the Yalu River.
Yeah, I got you. Folks, we're here from the office this morning, substituting in for Brian, BKP. He's on the move. He's out with Casey Cagle. If you just joined us, he's out on a bus tour with Casey Cagle doing 8 stops, starting in Clarksville, and I think they end up in Jasper. I'm not sure. Amanda, do you know where they are? Are they going to end up in Jasper?
Yeah, they're starting in Clarksville, and then they're ending up in Jasper at the end of the day at 5 o'clock.
I think they're the new Appalachian Gun and Pawn or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's out with Casey Cagle. We're going to maybe get to hear a little Casey Cagle interview this morning, maybe at around 9 o'clock at the 9 o'clock hour, after we take going into our third segment. And then...
if the technology gods are in our favor.
Yeah, if the technology gods, he's looking for a good Wi-Fi signal or a video feed or something. If he can, he's supposed to call in and give us his perspective. And Brian, he's always got a perspective on things. He's going to give his perspective on the Senate race forum candidate debate that was held last night in West Virginia in Morganton.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was in Morganton, West Virginia, and it was hosted by Brett Baer and
Martha McCallum.
Martha McCallum, thanks. I was trying to remember her name, and the 7 o'clock hour lady.
Yeah.
So he's going to give us a perspective on that. He gave Bruce and I a little tweak this morning when we were driving over to the studio and said, "I got to figure it out. You got to hear this." So, hopefully he'll give us that around the 9 o'clock hour. You had mentioned moving over to Iran and the pushback with the North Korea possible peace summit, and then all of a sudden if we get in there and start stirring the pot in Iran, moving away from the accord that was signed and agreed to by I don't know how many countries, 6 or 7.
Well,
Britain,
our
Germany,
European colleagues.
Yeah. So, what's your thought on that?
Well, I think that the agreement was not a very good one, and I think Trump will step away from it. And again, I think this is sort of, I heard somebody talking today about his dynamite diplomacy. Basically,
D-Day, huh?
Yeah, DD. You know, basically he likes to like throw things out there and get people all excited, and then, you know.
And then becomes pragmatic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got a little piece on pragmatic later about Donald, but anyway, I think that he will try to forge a better deal out of it. It remains to be seen. I mean, you know, the Iranians could get all hissy and, you know, digging their heels.
When you said forge a better deal, that's kind of what the EU and Macron, as Brian would say, that's what they want, right? Angela Merkel. They want to keep the core deal in place and try to do some Band-Aid side deals to try to patch up some of the holes that were left. For instance, eliminating the ability to buy missiles, which doesn't exist right now in that accord, correct? Or that treaty.
That's right.
Yeah.
And there's people worried about the sunset provision, I think in 2026.
12 years.
Yeah, they can go back to, you know, doing whatever they want.
Well, isn't that basically what Benji Netanyahu is alleging?
Iran lied.
Iran lied, yeah. Now, I mean, this isn't new information.
No.
It's just breaking news the other day.
That's what the detractors are saying. Like, you know, he presented nothing new other than the fact that they moved them somewhere.
And that Pompeo is in agreement with him.
Yeah, yeah. Now, again, another player in this is the IEA, the International Atomic Energy, IAE, who inspects these sites. The lady, again, a UN-oriented group. I mean, and she was on the news last night and basically saying, you know, that, oh, you know, the Irans, as far as we're concerned, haven't broken the deal. So you get in all this, you know, politics as usual, you know, working because, yeah, there's a group of people who don't want to see anything, you know, disrupted because they think it's going to trigger the Iranians and, you know, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So we get dynamite diplomacy.
So then you've got Russia in the background.
Yeah.
Because they're the, you know, like China is to North Korea.
Well, I mean,
Russia is to Iran.
Yeah, and they got the whole Syrian thing going. So, yeah, the Russians are going to probably be behind the scenes poking needles in people.
Oh, jeez.
Figurative.
Yeah, that's right.
Not literally.
Just like all of a sudden I got tingles under my fingernails.
I'm getting warm here.
That's right. So Benji stands up the other day and he makes the other pronouncements about what needs to happen. And Trump is making a decision.
By the 15th of May.
Yeah, the 12th or the 15th or whatever it is. He's got to make a decision whether he just wants to crater the deal and start over, or whether he wants to cave. That's a bad choice of words. He wants to side with the EU and
feel they have the bones of a good deal.
Do a patchwork.
But yeah.
What did that deal cost us in cash? 1.8 or was it 18 billion?
It was. They sent them what 150 billion in frozen funds.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, 150 billion.
My goodness.
Yeah, in cash.
Yeah.
Which, you know, somehow they got to them after years of saying they never can transfer that kind of amounts of cash. But anyway,
well, they went through Canada, right? Didn't they take that pallet of cash through Canada somehow?
Yeah, they did some circuitous route to get it there. I mean, it was all, you know, smoke and mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors.
They can do this stuff whenever they want, if they want.
All right, let's go back to Trump a little bit and his methodology. Are we seeing the same thing in Iran that we saw in North Korea as to how he goes about it? And also, could you equate that to the trade imbalance? How he went about it? We're just going to put what's the word I'm looking for? The money applied when you trade goods. that they're.
But trade deficit or deposit or.
You know, when, like a tariff. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure where you were going.
Yeah, well, so he just went out with a blanket tariff on a bunch of stuff in a bunch of countries, and then all of a sudden yesterday, you know, it funnels down to, well, we're going to give this country a moratorium. We're going to give this one a 30-day wait.
Yeah.
And you know, there's going to be no problem with your aluminum, but you're going to get hammered on your aluminum. And oh, by the way, we'll revisit that in 30 days. Is that kind of the overall approach that Trump takes with everything? He just says it's going away, and then let's bring it back.
Yeah, I think he paints these trade deals with a broad brush. I mean, and in some cases he maybe, you know, overspeaks on it, but yeah, he essentially says, you know, they're all bad deals. So he starts from that premise, and I think some of them he intentionally wants to
like NAFTA and
yeah, and of course TPP. You know, now that the 11 or 12 nations that signed it, Trans-Pacific Partnership,
right?
Yeah, we're maybe going to kind of walk in through the back door. You know, because Japan would, I think, like us in there, and China, which is not part of the TPP, would not like to see the U.S. in there. So I think he paints all these with a broad brush, and then, you know, he throws some things out there. He gets everybody agitated, and they do tend to come back to the negotiating room, you know, with more desire to like get this thing put back together.
Yeah,
I certainly think with the Canadians and Mexicans, that's a case with NAFTA.
NAFTA, yeah, I agree with you. And you know, Brian brings out a point that you know, Trump is playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. And I'm thoroughly convinced that he looks at a deal like NAFTA, or he looks at a deal like the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the Iran deal, North Korea. He already knows what his end game is. He knows where he wants to be. I'm convinced.
What he wants to achieve. Yes.
Yeah. What are my goals, and how do I get there?
Yeah.
So what's worked in the past is you just hammer it up front, and then you finally, you know, start fine tuning until you get down to the goal. And he looks like a genius.
Yeah, and again, these aren't like 100% rewrites of these deals. I mean, you at the end of the day might get a 30% improvement in whatever the deal is.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like it's complete, flush it down the toilet and come up with a totally new deal. I think it's improvements at the edges, and, you know, that's good for the U.S.
May's going to be a pretty interesting month for the U.S. and its allies.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, with North Korea, the summit, Iran making decisions on that. So it's going to be fun to watch. We are, speaking of fun to watch, you're watching Bruce and Rick here, Burlap and Rhinestone and Burlap, filling in for BKP this morning while he is out on the campaign trail with Casey Cagle. Once again, you know, we've got the governor coming in to Fannin County this morning. Jason Beck and Amanda are going to be, our producer at the helm back there is going to be putting on her game face and heading north to Fannin County to cover that. They'll be on the courthouse steps at 11:30 with the signing. Speaker of the House, David Ralston, will be introducing the I don't know if she's the chancellor or what you call a college president. Maybe she's a college president.
Yep.
Yeah. But Benita Parker will be speaking. Benita Jacobs, excuse me. She'll be speaking this morning to make the announcement that we're getting our own brick and mortar campus. We've had a satellite campus there for some 2 or 3 years now, right?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but that's going to be a big coup for the development of the city and the county. Anyway, we're going to take a break. We're going to recognize some of our sponsors. And
love those sponsors.
Yeah, we love those sponsors. You got to pay the bills. But we're going to be coming back after a short break, and we're going to maybe bring it back to our own side of the water and talk about some of the domestic issues going on. See if we really do have borders. See if we've got See if we've got a president that's going to be impeached. See if we've got Rosenstein who's going to be impeached.
Impeachment world.
Yeah, the impeachment world. We got a lot to talk about. Anyway, let's go to break. We'll take a few minutes here, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the other side of the half hour. Amanda?